Amen.
Comrades, can we fight the temptation to leave the plenary? Comrades, Comrades, let's fight the temptation to leave plenary. Can we remain in plenary for the duration of conference? It's very important, comrades. For purposes of concluding conference, lost and found. The kija koloi kije. Kenang kija ubula garage. The wile go libya re sepela ka mogare kam. Ke tlo gopela mongwa tsona ge a bona gore ana le key. Atla di chemo comrade Bascob Magam. The key ja motho a latlhilego di na comrade Bascob Magam. Re gopela di tšea from yena comrades. Please remain in plenary. You can continue, comrade Butan.
Enze malendlela inameva iyatlaba enze malendlela inameva iyatlaba ao sizo zabalas sizo zabalas enze maulendlela inameva iyatlaba enze maulendlela inameva iyatlaba ao sizo zabalas tambo sizo zabalas onze malomthwalo unameva uyatlaba ao sizo zabalas tambo sizo zabalas tambo zabalas shona malanga shona malanga shona malanga shona malanga shona ayo malanga shona malanga shona malanga shona ayo malanga shona ayo malanga shona iyo malanga shona mal ezizoti iyo mawe bozo tena sizoti iyo mawe ngebozo shona malanga shona iyo malanga shona shona malanga shona iyo malanga shona tena sizoti iyo mawe bozo tena sizoti iyo mawe shona malanga shona malanga shona malanga oh zizo tibana Areyembe amagerela Hovana zoekala Hetasele himbe Areyembe amasocha Areyembe amagerela obana zoyicala ayihlasele him athi phakamisi aka are phakamisi 7 obana zoyicala ayihlasele him athi phakamisi aka athi phakamisi 7
Semete Hona le motho o sala ima wa veteran power bank comrade Maitengwana Mashaba power bank bana ba sa mo hopola gore ke mang and ka re ke batho ba le ba nnete ba kgale motho ba re kwa ka membe o tlo membe o a dimile wa ka Norman Mashaba so ba ra ba sa hopola gore ke mang le a di kwa taba ja batho ba nnete ka ra ke tsore ke batho ba ka ba disappearing ka power bank jaaka ebile mara ba santse isha le wana jwalo but ya disappear so re no gopela gore re le ka ipatametša or batho ba rena ba security ba ba file this information gore announce ke wena motho wa ka bempe o file wa ka Norman Mashabane power bank are no let's share power so re no gopela gore o le ona o re batamela right re tlo gopela lena wa kante Arbata Meling, there will still be many Mahota outside, but let's get inside so that the president, when he arrived, he found us the way we have been disciplined, high discipline and organized. We're just requesting Secretary. So please, comrades, let's promise that we don't come. With the session, we will still take photos, and please, we are also encouraging that after the conference, there are very good restaurants here in Polokwane. If you still have got some money left, if you still have got something left, please don't forget to pass Mall of the North. Don't forget to pass Savannah and spend that money on it. Because Comrade Maiscope is watching me, also pass through Zani. Yeah, we can also pass through the water bag and enjoy the night there. And yeah. Is that what about them? I'm not sure. Yeah. So comrades were just asking that we should make our way into the hall so that once the president has arrived, we can start and continue with the program. can take up the slogan. A very, very hot slogan. You know my songs by now. I don't have too many songs, but are those ones of bringing us together. Amandla, awethu.
Ramaphosa, re go rata
Rata
kaofela.
kaofela.
Re tsamaya le wena. We molo molo. Yeah. Ramaphosa, re go rata kaofela.
Ramaphosa, re o rata kaofela.
Dia dia.
Wena.
Dia. Lo molo dia we molo.
Ke hopela hore Mike o tshware ke mongwe wa ona ke le sa jwala o mo kgetha motho o tshwara di meeting o ka se be le di mic tse dingwe around the mic. We are no longer going to have debates so that when we sing we are much more, we need those original voices ke tsona di tshamushi. Ramaphosa re o rata kaofela re tsamaya le wena we molo molo. Ramaphosa re o rata kaofela re tsamaya le wena we molo molo. I want us to look in here. Oh, dear.
Re tsamaya le wena we molo molo. Ramaphosa re mo rata kaofela re tsamaya le yena we molo molo. Ramaphosa re mo rata kaofela re tsamaya le yena we molo molo. Sale tate, we nyamaza, we nyamaza, we nyamaza, we nyamaza, we sale tate. Sale tate, we sale tate.
Sale tate, sale tate. Yole, sale tate, yole, nyamaza. Yo Thank you very much. Thank you very much, comrades. Amandla, awethu. Long live President Ramaphosa, long live. Long live Matamela, President Ramaphosa, long live. Amandla, awethu. Long live our provincial chairperson, Dr. Ramatuba, long live. Amandla, awethu. Thank you very much. Comrades, we are going to do as follows. We are going to get first the declarations of the conference. The provincial secretary will be delivering that. Amandla, viva Bamsanda Matachi, viva! Amandla. Thank you very much.
Amandla, long live President Ramaphosa, long live. Forward with President Ramaphosa, forward. Viva President Ramaphosa, viva. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Let me greet the PEC officials of Limpopo, led by the Provincial Chair, Comrade Dr. Ramatuba, and the entire PEC collective. Let me also once more greet the leadership of the National Executive Committee, led by the President and the convener of the ANC deployees to Limpopo. I'm going to present to this conference the declaration of the 11th Limpopo Provincial Conference. This Provincial Conference of the African National Congress, duly convened, constituted, and assembled at least once every 4 years under the auspices of Rule 17 of the Constitution as the highest organ of the ANC in the province, subject to the decision of the National Conference and the National General Council and the overall guidance of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. We, the 1,346 voting and non-voting delegates assembled under the theme, I quote, "Advancing ANC Renewal Agenda for Decisive Victory and Accelerating the National Democratic Revolution Trajectory," close quote, as our collective pledge to confirm the enduring long work we have traversed in our pursuit for the attainment of the strategic objectives encapsulated in the NDR and the Freedom Charter of building the society that is non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous. Our conference has brought together branches from all over the province, our leagues, the ANC Veterans League, the ANC Youth League, and the ANC Women's League. Our regional executive committees, the Revolutionary Alliance, COSATU, SANCO, SACP, and compatriots from the Fraternal Mass Democratic Movement to chart the course of renewal of the ANC, South Africa's National Liberation Movement, and the governing party in Limpopo province. It is a truism that the 11th Provincial Conference, convened hardly 2 months after President Cyril Ramaphosa unveiled the January 8th statement of the ANC in Northwest Province, marking 2026, I quote, "the year of decisive action to fix local government and to transform the economy." Furthermore, the conference takes place in a year that marks the historic milestone of the 114th anniversary of the founding of the ANC. The year we will be commemorating the 71st anniversary of the Freedom Charter, the 70th anniversary of the 1956 Women March, to the recitals of apartheid regime. We have gathered in here in this conference in a year that marks 59th anniversary of the courageous battles in the Wanki area, the Lutuli detachment, which culminated in a joint declaration by the then Deputy President of the ANC, O.R. Tambo, and the then Vice President of ZAPU, Zimbabwe African People's Union, Comrade J.R.D. Chikerema. The following passage appears in the joint declaration. I quote, "We wish to declare here that the fighting that is presently going on in the Wankie area is indeed being carried out by a combined force of ZAPU and ANC, which marched into the country as comrades in arms on a common route, each bound to its destination. It is the determination of these combined forces to fight the common settler enemy to the finish at any point of encounter as they make their way to their respective zones." Close quote. It is also established that this conference coincides with the year that witnessed the 50th anniversary of the 1976 student uprising. The conference salutes the young lions of our struggle for their sacrifice and undiminished dedication to social justice and democracy. The generation of 1976 renewed their dynamism in our struggle for freedom and injected agency into the liberation movement. History shows that this generation intensified political consciousness and expanded military training. It goes without saying that this generation became the backbone of the mass democratic movement of the 1980s. Trade unions, civic and women, and youth and student formation, which responded to overwhelmingly to President Oliver Reginald Tambo's call to make apartheid unworkable and South Africa ungovernable. It is with this that the 11th Limpopo Provincial Conference calls upon the generation of 1976 and the 1980s to continue to decide to dedicate their lives to advance ANC renewal agenda for decisive victory and accelerating the national democratic revolution trajectory. You are called upon to become the principal agent of change in the ongoing struggle to complete the unfinished project of the national liberation, the construction of a national democratic society. The 11th Provincial Conference calls upon today's generation of youth to organize and effectively to become the principal agent of social and economic transformation. We stand on the threshold of the most challenging period of our struggle, when the ANC is painfully facing a catastrophic risk of existential crisis. This we must and we will rectify, mitigate, and overcome. We, dedicated members and cadres of the ANC, commit ourselves to work tirelessly in defending, mobilizing, and organizing our people for lives to, I quote, advancing ANC renewal agenda for decisive victory and accelerating the national democratic revolution trajectory. ANC has no other weapon than organization and mobilization of the people who have been the main architects in the liquidation of criminal apartheid system. In the liquidation, we must also unanimously and unequivocally rededicate ourselves to the ANC renewal to ensure that ANC relives its past glory and regains a considerable prestige it used to enjoy over the past decades, that the ANC realizes and fully accomplishes its strategic vision, which is and remains to construct a national democratic society, a united, non-racial, non-sexist, free, democratic, and prosperous South Africa as visualized in the Freedom Charter. The year of decisive action to fix local government and transform the economy. The conference reaffirms this year, 2026, as the year of decisive action to fix local government, accelerate economic transformation, create jobs, deepen social justice, and renew the movement as enshrined in our January 8 statement. During the 2024 national and provincial elections, Limpopo became the best performing ANC province. The 11th Provincial Conference salutes our loyal supporters across the province, men and women who have voted and retained ANC as the governing party of this province. Our people have spoken and they have declared Limpopo as the mainstay and home of the ANC. Accordingly, the 11th Provincial Conference extend a special tribute to our people, mainly in our rural areas and our townships, whose efforts and spirit of support in the most difficult conditions has inspired us over the years. We thank the people of Limpopo province for their continued overwhelming support for the African National Congress. Notwithstanding, this rural province remain by and large burdened by the persistent legacy of apartheid colonialism, in particular rural underdevelopment, spatial injustices, poverty, unemployment, and inequalities. These challenges we shall fight side by side with our people to overcome as we prepare for the forthcoming local government election. The conference has noted that the election structures have been established and call upon all ANC members and volunteers to work towards increasing a voter turnout towards a decisive victory. This conference has noted with satisfaction the high performance in municipal infrastructure grant expenditure and improved audit outcomes in our municipalities. It is within this milestone that we call on our people to be with this gigantic organization as we prepare for the 7th local government election. In the same spirit, the 11th Provincial Conference applaud the provincial government for playing a pivotal role in supporting our municipalities, and most importantly, for leading by example in eradicating disclaimer audit opinions and championing stable government. This conference affirms that traditional leadership plays an important role in the system of democratic governance. In this context, the delegates recommit to work together with the institution of traditional leadership in our continued quest to reconstruct and develop our country. In the same vein, we commit ourselves to uproot the demon of tribalism in all its ramified forms. Another impediment to the attainment of the NDR is institutionalized factionalism. To that effect, the conference is making a clarion call that to remain true to our cause of renewal, striving for unity of purpose, we should in our action condemn and isolate any tendency that seeks to perpetuate the demon of ingrained factionalism, which has in the past affected the organization negatively. The conference has painfully noted disasters that occurred in the province during January 2026 and resolved to direct the provincial government to finalize the provincial disaster management framework. This framework should be able to prepare and enable the province to deal with and effectively to respond to future disasters. The conference noted with satisfaction performance of metric class of 2025. The overall metric pass rate of 86.1 is a significant milestone achievement in a predominantly rural province such as this one, Limpopo. The conference congratulated 2025 metric class for their hard work. These results bear witness further to the effectiveness of ANC program of action to implement the Freedom Charter, which declares that, I quote, "The doors of learning and culture shall be open." It goes, I close, it goes further to proclaim that, I quote, "All the cultural treasures of mankind shall be open to all by free exchange of books, ideas, and contact with other lands," close quote. In this lexicon of this Freedom Charter, it is decreed that, I quote, "The aim of education shall be to teach the youth to love their people and their culture, to honor human brotherhood, liberty, and peace." On the basis advanced above, the conference resolved that more tertiary education institutions are required in the not-so-distant future to accommodate learners who are passing in large majority. Of most notably, institutions which are commensurate with the curriculum that will respond to skills that are needed, the job market, particularly science, engineering, and technology. The 11th conference resolved to attach sufficient importance to ECDs. In particular, ECDs should be upscaled and adequately funded. Conference believes that this will contribute towards improving quality of primary and secondary education, and in the final analysis, tertiary education. The conference emphatically directed the completion of academic hospital currently under construction should be expedited. The Congress, while acknowledging the significant stride made by the ANC-led government in terms of promoting socio-economic development of our respective communities, fostering safety and security in line with our principles enshrined in the Freedom Charter and the pronouncement of our respective manifestos on building safer communities. We continue to be disturbed and dismayed by the escalating rates and cases of GBVF, and most notably affecting women and children as the primary victims. Therefore, the conference directs government to upscale an overall implementation of GBVF program. This intensified effort will enable the realization of the objectives of the National Strategic Plan on GBVF, which declares this unwanted scourge as a national pandemic. Despite those observed challenges, Limpopo's socio-economic outlook manifests an upward trajectory. It is asserted that the resolution adopted at this 11th provincial conference to accelerate infrastructure investment and development require focused implementation. The conference noted a worrying trend of serious systemic weaknesses in water provision, and therefore call upon the Minister of Water and Sanitation to employ concrete interventions in unblocking all the blockages in bulk water supply. In the same vein, conference urges all water service authority municipalities to activate all the stalled water projects and devolve such functions to capable local municipalities as per the resolution of the 10th Provincial Conference to enhance technical capacity in the delivery of water to our communities. The 11th Provincial Conference makes a clear call to Central to expeditiously commence with the actual construction of ZCC St. Agnes Bypass Road, which is long overdue. We want to applaud the judicious stewardship of His Excellency President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa on his concrete intervention to crowd investors in rolling out and unlocking all the blockages on Limpopo-Gauteng speed train, which will ultimately ameliorate huge traffic volumes that characterized the N1 road. President, the project is not called Gauteng to Limpopo. It is called Limpopo to Gauteng speed rail. This is our project, it's our brainchild as Limpopo. It must not be renamed Gauteng to Limpopo. It's Limpopo to Gauteng. And the conference emphasized that the project must commence in Limpopo going to Gauteng. On crime and corruption, the conference has noted that some of the negative anomalies that affect the electoral decline and support of the organization is the notion that this movement has been perceived as being naturally corrupt, therefore reaffirmed its commitment to strengthen accountability and introduce mechanisms that will enforce governance systems in our resolve to build a capable and ethical developmental state. Other strategies identified to curb criminal elements include the consolidation of state power, enhancing law enforcement capacity through bolstering recruitment in SAPS, better training, and strengthening security around critical facilities of public interest. On international relations, conference noted that the global environment is increasingly hostile as we are witnessing rising imperialist aggression, unilateralism, and multilateralism. The war of aggression against Iran, led by the United States and Israel, reflects the dangerous escalation of imperialist expansionism. This includes the agenda to extend the sphere of policy influence beyond national borders and to pursue undemocratic changes in targeted governance, including by means of regime change. Trade has been weaponized through unilateral imposition of trade tariffs, sanctions, and other trade barriers to achieve coercion and manipulation. The rule-based order no longer holds sway as the more dominant world power gravitates towards an agenda of unipolarity as against multipolarity. The genocide in Palestine, the kidnapping of the president of Venezuela, Comrade Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, the threats to annex Greenland, the NATO proxy war in Ukraine are but few examples of how this agenda of expansionism manifests itself. The 11th conference welcomed and applauds government of the Republic of South Africa, led by President Ramaphosa, acting through the DECO for declaring the Israel chargé d'affaires persona non grata. This conference understands that this decision is a sequel to repeated violation of diplomatic standards and conduct that sought to undermine the Republic's sovereignty and disrespect its highest office. In consequence of the aforementioned, we believe that this action affirms South Africa's sovereign right to manage its international relations in line with its constitution, national dignity, and established diplomatic norms. On revolutionary alliance, as we stand on the threshold of the most challenging period of our struggle, when the alliance witnesses deepening contradiction in the pursuit of the NDR, the 11th conference solemnly affirms the resolution of the National General Council of the ANC on alliance as held in December 2025 at Beachwood, Gauteng Province. The NGC resolution in this regard shall apply mutatis mutandis to our province, consistent with the ANC long-established principle of democratic centralism. This principle essentially states that the decisions of higher organs in the ANC have binding authority on the lower organ of the organization. The 11th Provincial Conference further note that the SACP continuous and constant contestation of by-elections mainly in this province compared to other provinces, and call upon for a speedy resolution and a decisive action, and save the growing confusion with the ANC membership and supporters in general. To the extent that the 11th Provincial Conference convened almost 41 years since the formation of COSATU, delegates affirmed the workers and the poor as the integral component of the motive forces of our revolution. The mobilization of motive forces, more generally, is of fundamental importance and ring true to this day as we march to the 26th May Day, Workers' Day, in solidarity with the working class. Sorry, comrades. Remember, I'm employed by you, I'm at work. Our conclusion. We dedicated members and cadres of the ANC declare to undergo renewal and make ANC a more effective instrument of the people to achieve the vision of the Freedom Charter. We commit ourselves, as we hereby do, to work tirelessly to implement all resolutions of this 11th Provincial Conference. We stand proud and tall in that we emerge from this 11th Provincial Conference more united with purpose in defense of our precious movement against all forms of threats. This is closure of the 11th conference. To our all-around Umkhonto weSizwe, the ambassador, the former premier of this promise, and also the former provincial chairperson of the ANC in our province, Comrade Chupus Limatawata, for playing a significant role in strengthening this organization, and most importantly, the government as the premier of 2 consecutive terms. We salute him for taking the provincial government from its financial deficit to a sound fiscus, strengthening good governance in pursuit of advancing a quality service delivery for better life for our people. Limpopo departments and municipalities have registered a massive improvement with regards to audit outcomes under your visionary leadership. We therefore commit ourselves to sustain your revolutionary legacy. For that reason, this commitment, we will consolidate our strategic goal of advancing NDR. We are convinced that you will continue to provide a revolutionary stewardship to the entire revolutionary alliance and the mass democratic movement beyond the ANC 11th Provincial Conference. I therefore, on behalf of conference, present this declaration of the 11th Limpopo Provincial Conference for adoption, Deputy Chair. Thank you very much. Amandla! Amandla! Long live Sukuma Tabata, long live!
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our ever so energetic Provincial Secretary, Comrade Madaj. We appreciate that. I'm also learning because they say, "Boom, Kakame." Thank you very much, Comrade Madaj. Comrade, we are going to call for the adoption. The proposal has been made for the adoption. If you can get the seconders. Comrade, you mentioned your own branch, region, and also show the tag. I see the tag there. Yes, yes. No, that side, at the extreme, yes. Thank you very much. Can those who are operating with the mic get that mic closer to that comrade?
Thanks, Comrade Chair. I'm Lukeli Umbulani Johnson, Ward 29, Makado Sub-Region, mighty Wembe region. I rise to move for the adoption of the declaration as presented by a capable Provincial Secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I see a hand here. Okay. Comrade have actually seconded. Let's get a hand from Comrade from that side. You can mention your name and your region.
Thank you very much,
And your
Comrade
branch.
Deputy Provincial Chairperson. My name is Comrade Adolf Rapetwa, a member in good standing of the ANC in the only region that is mighty, the Pitamakaba region. Polokwane sub-region, Ward 17, Philip Lugodi branch. This declaration, Chairperson, does not deserve 1 second because this is a true reflection of the wishes of delegates which we consent to. We wish to reiterate that as delegates we second the declaration as well presented by the Provincial Secretary Bamsanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we then, if there is no dissenting view, and I must accept that all regions in Limpopo are mighty. Thinking about the results of the elections, the previous general elections, President, I'm thinking they are all mighty. So, can I take it that the declaration have been adopted with no dissenting view? Declaration of the 11th Provincial Conference of the ANC in Limpopo has been duly adopted. Thank you very much. We can then move to the next item, but I'm going to request just a revolutionary song, but because I'm not very bad in terms of my voice, I will get in Chakwashao. Skokele tambo, tambo sbuyele. Skokele tambo. Sungena ganja. Sungena ganja. Sungena ganja. Sungena ganja. Skokele tambo. Comrades, as we welcome the first female chairperson of the ANC in Limpopo, Dr. Poppy Constance Ramaphosa, on stage to deliver the acceptance speech as the newly elected. Can we be disciplined? Comrades, we are not going to accept comrades moving in and out, particularly at this critical moment. Let us get the acceptance speech. From there, the president is going to do the closing address. And during these two items, I'm just requesting, because I see a lot of comrades going out and coming in, so let us be, please, comrades, remain disciplined. I do not want to name any region or any branch, but I'm just requesting for discipline. Thank you very much.
Amandla! Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Long live President Ramaphosa, long live. Long live President Ramaphosa, long live. Viva ANC Veterans League, viva. Roar, Young Lions, roar. Malibongwe. Malibongwe. Igama lamakosikas. Igama lamakosikas. Watinti bafas. Watinti bafas. Watinti mbokoto. Uzakufa. Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Comrade Makoro John Mpe, Comrade President of the African National Congress, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, of members of the National Executive Committee who are present here, the leadership of the Provincial Executive Committee as led by the Deputy Chairperson, Comrade John Makoro Mpe, the leaders of the ANC Women's League, ANC Youth League, and also the ANC Veterans League. The representative of the Federation, COSATU, SANCO, and also SACP. The regional leadership, and more importantly, our branch delegates who have gathered here today. Comrades, members of the media, receive my revolutionary greetings on behalf of the 11th Provincial Executive Committee. Comrade President, the 11th Provincial Conference has done something revolutionary in its own quiet but decisive way. It has reminded Limpopo that unity is not a slogan. It is a method of work. We have just demonstrated that when comrades arrive at conferences to debate ideas, to confront organizational weaknesses, to build agreements, and also to place the movement above the self, the conference floor stops being a battlefield and become a workshop of revolution. The smooth running of this conference and the unopposed election of the top 5 part of the Provincial Executive Committee is not an accident, Comrade President, of procedure. It is a political signal that Limpopo is ready to move from internal noise to collective action, ready to light the spark that ignites the smoke of renewal. Comrades, we accept with humility and also with discipline our election as the Provincial Executive Committee of the African National Congress in Limpopo. We accept it not as a title, but as a deployment. Deployment into hard daily work of advancing the national democratic revolution and rebuilding the ANC as trusted leader of our society. We wish to take this opportunity and thank the conference for the confidence it has shown in electing our leadership collective unopposed. Comrade Makoro John Mpe as a deputy chair, Comrade Bamsanda Ruben Madaje being re-elected for the second term as a provincial secretary, Comrade Pule Shai as a deputy provincial secretary, and not forgetting Comrade Eddie Maila as our provincial treasurer. Let me also acknowledge the sterling work of the 10th Provincial Executive Committee under the chairpersonship of Comrade Chupu Stanley Matabata and Comrade Furupero Florence Radziran. Comrades, you stabilized our branches. You strengthened organizational presence. and ensured that Limpopo remains a decisive force in the national politics of the African National Congress. I'm told they feel us there by the NEC. The growth of our branches is not a mechanical exercise of numbers. It is organic political growth rooted in our communities. It is Limpopo building itself into the national agenda of the movement, not through arrogance, but through organized capacity. We thank you. We commit not to break what you built, but to build further and deeper and also cleaner. There is no doubt that the organizational report presented here in plenary by our provincial secretary did lay a firm foundation what we shall jealously guard and grow during our term of office. Some of us stand here carrying the weight of generations of women in the province who have organized under impossible conditions. Women who carried the movement when resources were scarce, when their contributions were overlooked, when their leadership was limited to supporting roles, while they were doing the real work on the ground. Let us never forget that we stand on the shoulders of formidable women who in their own right could have been the first to lead the ANC in Limpopo. Comrade Joyce Mashamba, Comrade Dikeledi Magazi, Comrade Catherine Mabuza, Comrade Melidia Komape, Comrade Maite Maruta, I'm told she's a delegate, Comrade Maite Nkwana Mashabana, Comrade Koninkuna, Comrade Sophie Mkhutlane, Comrade Rosina Mkhutlane, Comrade Rejoice Mabuda Pasi, Comrade Marie Stella Mabiji, Comrade Ketembi Nwanda Mutsu, and many others. Thank you very much. I'm here because of the foundation that you have laid. I'm also, Comrade President, reminded of our own daughter of the soil, Comrade Edna Muleo, born and nurtured here in Limpopo, in Waterberg, in Villavilla. There's something good about Waterberg, who went on to break the new ground as the first woman chairperson of the ANC in the Northwest Province. In fact, as far as we know, the first woman to lead the ANC province in the country. And indeed, this is the kind of moment that Hosingwami Wabumbiri, whom we have just laid to rest, would have cherished to see women taking rightful place at the forefront of leadership, knowing her struggle and steadfastness in advancing women leadership, be it traditional or political landscape. For some of us, what we are living today was written in the struggles of the 1956 generation, the generation of Mama Linion Ngoyi, of Mama Albertina Sisulu, of Mama Helen Joseph, Mama Rahima Musa, and our very own Mama Sophie de Bruyn, the one and only that is still with us, and many others. Their connectedness to the people was a natural as the land they were born in. They did not have the media space we have today. We now have multiple platforms to can speak, to post, to broadcast, and to debate. But those women with no microphone, with no social media, with no comfort, mobilized more than 20,000 women from all walks of life to march to the Union building. These women have taught us a decisive truth of politics. When you are connected with the people, you do not need permission to lead. You earn leadership through service. That is the lesson this PEC is going to carry into the next 4 years. Comrades and compatriots, our conference theme is not a decorative. It is an instruction to act. Advancing ANC renewal, agenda for decisive victory, and accelerating the national democratic revolution trajectory. What is the renewal agenda for the ANC in Limpopo? Renewal means we restore the ANC as a movement of the people, not a movement of positions. Renewal means we rebuild the ethics of leadership, because corruption is not only theft, it is counter-revolutionary sabotage. Renewal means we end the culture where branches wake up only when conferences are near, and where the only political education is about slates. Renewal means we return the ANC to its character as a liberation movement, close to the communities, intolerant of wrongdoing, disciplined in its structures, and clear on its mission. Renewal, therefore, starts with functional branches. We must go back to our branches as a political return to where the ANC breathes. Branches must continue to meet consistently. They must resolve community problems. They must be visible in our street committees, in our school governing bodies, in our clinic committees, in our CPFs, and all other ward structures. They must be able to account to communities and leaders, starting with us as the PC. We must not appear only in crisis. We must be present before the crisis. We must also be present during the crisis and also after the crisis, until the solutions are real. Comrades, it cannot be renewal if our presence in the communities is not felt. It cannot be for revolution if people no longer want to associate with us, because we are either lazy, we are either absent, and also we are sometimes arrogant. It cannot be renewal if our own meetings are not politically nourishing, if cadres live more confused than when they arrived. We must restore political education, seriousness, consistent ideology schooling, because the ANC is not merely an election machine, but it is the leader of society. What do we mean when we say we are going to accelerate national democratic revolution trajectory? Even after the 5th NGC, the NEC Lekgotla, and our own provincial Lekgotla resolutions. We mean we must push the NDR from resolution to reality, from a policy to implementation, from promise to deliver. The NDR, comrades, is not an event. It is a continuous struggle to transfer power and resources to our people, materially, economically, socially, and even culturally. In Limpopo, Comrade President, the daily terrain of the NDR is very clear. It's about water, it's about roads, it's about jobs, economic growth, safety, quality healthcare, quality education, and the fight against crime and social ills, such as gender-based violence and femicide. If the ANC cannot resolve these bread and butter issues, we will be speaking about revolution in rooms where people outside are living counter-revolutionary conditions of poverty and indignity. We want to thank all our branches for the work that they've done throughout the previous term and also during elections. You were always present when it matters. You defended the movement when it was under siege. You mobilize our communities. You carry the message. Let's continue. It's not yet Uhuru. We must continue, comrades, to build, to recruit, and to retain, especially the young people. But membership will not grow because we issue instruction. Membership grow because communities see value in the ANC again, because the ANC solves problems. The ANC defends the poor and leads with integrity. Let me end where revolution always begins, with a spark. The theme for this conference sits at the very core of what the PC will stand for over the next 4 years. Renewal that is practical, victory that is organized, and an NDR that is accelerated through visible change in people's life. And we must carry into the field a statement that must guide our posture, our discipline, and our courage. Every true revolution begins with a spark that ignites a tempestuously smoke, destroying in its wake the old establishment and stripping away entrenched position, forcing history forward on the tracks of the new. Comrades, that spark is the unity we have built here in this conference. That smoke must be visible work we now do in every branch, in every ward, in every village, in every township, and every municipality. The Old Testament we must swept away is not people. No. The ANC does not have dustbin for its former leaders and its members. The old establishments are old habits, are factionalism, are arrogance, are corruptions, are laziness, are absence, and the politics of itself. This revolution requires us to be mad. In the words of the famous Thomas Sankara, the quote that I love so much, I know Comrade Florence Radzirani is smiling when I'm about to say this. Open quote, you cannot carry out fundamental change without a certain amount of madness. In this case, it comes from non-conformity. The courage to turn your back on the old formulas, the courage to invent the future. Besides, it took the madmen of yesterday for us to be able to act with extreme clarity today. I want to be one of those mad men and women. Because it's only mad men and women who are required for us to fix the challenges our country is facing. If you sleep at 6 or at 8 in the evening and wake up at 10, you are not going to fix the challenges facing our people. You must be like me and my deputy chair. On Friday, we left here at 2 a.m. At 5 a.m., we were already running a marathon. That's how we are. So you are going to run marathons. You have got a chair and a deputy chair who write marathons. Where will you get the energy? The question is, do anything that will give you energy to can be able to become that madman or madwoman. That's not me, it's Thomas Sankara. Revolution requires madmen and mad women. Comrades, for us to return to the people, for us to rebuild our branches, for us to restore discipline, let us deliver also in government. Let us win back the trust. Let us grow membership. Let us increase our vote. Let us protect the alliance through clarity and respect. Let us accelerate the NDR in Limpopo. Because, comrades, the growth and development of our people is the highest calling of leadership. Comrade President, as the 11th PEC collective, we commit ourselves to these ideals, that we shall work tirelessly to keep Limpopo at the minds and hearts of its people. Once more, I want to thank our outgoing chairperson, Comrade Chupu Matabata, under whom I served since 2014 as a PC and PWC member, who also invited me to join his executive council in June 2015 to serve under his guidance and mentorship as a member of executive council responsible for health. Little did I know that all these roles were a platform to prepare me for this hot seat. Indeed, what I learned is that when you are a chairperson or you are a premier of a province, he always taught me, Moholu upilupedi. Comrade Nzuza, an elder must have two hearts. When I joined him, I was just coming from a hospital. And when he says to me, "Mogolo Pilupedi," I went back to check my anatomy because I know we have got only one heart. But he was telling me there are two hearts. When one collapses, the other one kicks in. And indeed, comrade, my chair, I am using that other heart. Now I understand that life is not necessarily about anatomy. Mogolo Upilupedi. Ke a go leboga mahlatši a hlabirwa a moraswi a molega Tshupu Marema Dipekwa. Forward with unity, forward. Forward with ANC renewal, forward. Forward with decisive victory, forward. Forward to accelerating the national democratic revolution trajectory, forward. Forward with ANC Limpopo, forward. Deputy Chairperson, allow me to take this opportunity to invite the one and only, the President of the African National Congress, President General, President Bomatamela, Cyril Ramaphosa, Singola Verelambeu, Ramaphosa Muposa Miseb, Yawe Yasara Yoima, Yabangwe Chiwera Pasi, Dadzwanela Radusiero Chivas, Mipuru!
Ramaphosa re morata kaofela re tsamaya le yena we molo Ramaphosa re morata kaofela re tsamaya le yena we molo Ramaphosa re morata kaofela re tsamaya le yena we molo
Amandla. Viva ANC, viva. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva SACP, viva. Viva Sanko, viva. Mandla. Comrades, thank you very much for allowing me at your conference. I also particularly want to thank you for holding such a very well-disciplined conference that is so beautiful and so successful. But also thank you for giving me this beautiful t-shirt. When I came in, I was wearing a different one. So the newly elected chairperson said, "We've got a beautiful t-shirt for you, you must wear it." Now, Comrade Njabulo Nzuza, the NEC convener, said, "Yes, President, you must wear this t-shirt." I'm also wearing one. And you can see that it's so beautiful, it has lightened my skin a little bit. So because he's dark, just like me, I'm hoping Worelinna Luno Litalolaka Letaba Kauninyana. Ketabonagala hore ke botse. But I don't think it's having such an effect on your provincial secretary. Comrades, I extend my greetings to the members of the NEC who are here present, and particularly the convener of the NEC Corps. I'd like to thank them for their presence here and their dedication to the work that they continue to do on behalf of the National Executive Committee in this province. So I applaud them and I thank them for a really job well done. I extend my greetings to the newly elected leadership of this province, particularly the officials, the newly minted and elected chairperson who was giving her acceptance speech, and also the other comrades who are elected with her. You've elected a group of really outstanding comrades, and I congratulate you. I also congratulate the additional members who've also been elected. And looking at the balance of the PEC, I can see that you balance gender so well without it being imposed on you. So thank you very much for being aware that there must be a good balance on gender. The other balance I think you should look at, and the newly elected PEC should look at, is the regional representation on the PEC, so that the regions must be nicely represented so that the ANC should be effectively done. And the Constitution allows us to do that. So let's look at that as well. But overall, comrades, I thank you. Before coming here, I had a rumor that was circulating that chairs were flying, that there was a lot of fighting here, and tables were being broken, and people were standing on tables, fighting among themselves, and throwing bottles of water at each other. That's what I heard. The reason I'm here was to come and confirm that story. But I can see now there is no truth in that. It's a fake story. So comrades, thank you very much for holding such a successful conference. And I believe even your lawyers who represent the province in a number of legal cases are here. I don't know whether they came here, but they are here to support the work here. So comrades, you've done very well. I also extend my greetings to the leadership of our leagues and the representatives of our alliance partners. And I also extend my greetings to the traditional leaders who are here present and leaders of the mass democratic movement. And more importantly, greetings to all of you as delegates. Now I know your province is very vast and you have to travel long distances. So I'm not going to be long. I'm pleased with the declaration that was read out. The declaration, in more ways than one, covers quite a lot of what I would have said. And I congratulate you for drafting and adopting such an outstanding declaration. That shows that a lot of work was done here, and that your conference was not a conference that was based on skip this report, skip that report. You dealt with all the reports as I have had. Wonderful. Well done, comrades. Comrades, we are gathering here at this provincial conference as members of a democratic organization, which is governed by the Constitution of the African National Congress, a constitution that sets out specific tasks for our conferences, for our organizational structures. Conferences are held so that we can assess the work that has been done politically and organizationally, and also the state of organization. And I should say that in line with what the Constitution dictates, in this conference, I hear that you did that. You did assess the work of the previous leadership. And here I want to applaud and commend the leadership that Comrade Chupu Matabata really gave to this province during his term as chairperson. And now he is our veteran chairperson. And we thank him, and I was very impressed by the standing ovation that you gave to Comrade Chupu Matabata. We thank you, Comrade Chupu. You are a veteran of our movement, and the leadership that you provided here is recognized and duly appreciated. Conference is also called to adopt resolutions that will confirm policy positions of our organization, policy positions that are meant to strengthen the ANC and to renew the ANC. And I'm glad that your conference was not only about the election of leaders. It was a conference that was well steeped in discussing the policies of our movement and taking resolutions to do so. And the third task that our conferences have is to elect leadership, a leadership collective that is fit for purpose and equal to the task of carrying out the vision and the mission of the ANC in the province. Now, I congratulate those who've been elected, and I say just one thing to them. As elected leaders, you are now brought down in your status. You are now at the level equal to members. None of you should ever think that you are better than the members that you lead. None of you must ever think or behave in an arrogant manner. Your task is to be humble, to provide leadership, and yes, Comrade Poppy, to have the two hearts, and also to give proper leadership to this province. And we congratulate you and wish you well in the work that you are going to do as you lead this province. And more importantly, I want to extend my gratitude to all of you who've provided leadership during this past term of the last PEC. As you led the province in various areas, at regional level, at branch level, at ward level, you enabled Limpopo to come up tops in the last provincial and national elections. You gave us 70% plus of the vote, and thank you so much. The whole ANC relies on Limpopo to come up with the top numbers. I had expected that you will give us 90% and more, but of course, you went down, but you still gave us the highest votes. So thank you, meaning that we expect much more from you in the coming local government elections and in the 2029 elections. Your chairperson said when I came in, she said, "President, welcome to Limpopo, the home of the ANC." Yes, Limpopo is the home of the African National Congress. Now you must make it a real home of the ANC by giving us 90% in the coming local government elections. Comrades, we need to take our responsibility seriously, because it's not only your province that looks forward to the high performance of the ANC, it is also the entire country. The entire country looks up to Limpopo to perform well, and that is why even NEC members are here in their numbers to give you support, to recognize and to tell you that we take Limpopo seriously. Even as you want a speed train from Limpopo to Gauteng, yes, you must act that part. You must act that part and show that indeed you deserve to get a speed train from Limpopo to Gauteng, not the other way around. And I agree with you on that score, because you were the first to come up with the idea. We meet here, comrades, at a time of profound global uncertainty. The world economy is shifting beneath our feet. We are witnessing slower global growth and tighter economic conditions. There's rising geopolitical tensions as well as protectionism, and a global contest for industrial advantage is underway, where nationalism has now become the order of the day, and there are also climate pressures that are reshaping a number of systems, be they energy systems, be they infrastructure systems, and all that. And of course, you have just this year experienced the ravages of climate change with the floods that have been taking place in your province. And the provincial secretary told me that, President, we want the delegates to go home early because there are floods in some of the places where they come from. And alongside these trends, we must, as a country, confront more immediate challenges. And the more immediate challenge is the war that is now raging in the Middle East, and that has continued to rage in Eastern Europe, and which is driving energy prices high. Food prices are also beginning to rise. There's disruptions to shipping and to the global trade routes around the world. Higher inflation is now going to be seen going up, and we're also going to see interest rates also following in tandem. Now, for South Africans, it means higher fuel prices. By 1st of April, we are going to see prices of petrol and diesel going up, driven largely by the conflict that is going on. Now, as the ANC, we are saying we direct government to address this matter, to see how best we can address the challenges that South Africans are now going to face as the price of petrol and diesel go up. I know that Comrade Enoch Godongwana, who outside of this dome is also the Minister of Finance, tells me that he's spending sleepless nights because of this that's happening. I told him that I'm not sleeping at all because of this challenge that our people are now facing. But I have said, as ANC President, he and other colleagues must address this matter and come up with solutions of what we now should do. The increased cost of living on our people is going to create more hardships, and it's also going to create reduced fiscal space for our government. So all these challenges are being driven by the conflict that is going on. Much as we cannot control what is going on in other countries, we need to find ways of controlling our own response. And as the world faces these high levels of geopolitical conflicts, we must also find solutions of how we address the challenges that are going to be given rise by what is happening here. More particularly because the contestation between the global north and the global south is something that we cannot run away from. And we, as part of the global south, are insisting on a more inclusive and equitable system of global governance, as well as the global economy. And we are saying that those who believe that might is right should be aware that their approach and policy is not acceptable to the rest of us in the global south. Because in the global south, we believe in equity, we believe in multilateralism, we believe in collaboration rather than in suppressing weaker nations in the world. The illegal war that is being waged by the United States and Israel is another act of imperialist aggression that has placed the global economy and international security at great risk. Now, as a country, South Africa has stood firm in the face of very powerful and vicious global rivals that are working to undermine the standing and the sovereignty of other nations. We have taken a principled stance which is consistent with our independent foreign policy. We have continued to support those nations that are struggling for self-determination, nations such as Palestine, Cuba, and Western Sahara, in the face of the threats that are being made and actions that are being made to undermine their standing. Last weekend, we organized one of the biggest multilateral and multi-stakeholder mass actions, the People's March, and are made to believe that Limpopo sent up to 50 buses to participate in that march at Constitutional Hill. And that is to be commended, because that march, comrades, was a march to affirm our sovereignty as South Africa in the face of all these bullying pressures that are being exerted on a number of countries. The march, which was attended by those thousands, was a clear signal by our people that as South Africa, we will not be bullied, we will not be pushed around, and we stand firm on our sovereignty, because our sovereignty is sacrosanct. And in addition to these global challenges, comrades, we also have to deal with the challenges that we face as a nation, the challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, the challenges that continue to dog our people who continue to suffer under the effect of these challenges. But to deal with these challenges, we at a national level, as the ANC, have led even the government of national unity to adopt a statement of intent which was aimed at addressing key priorities that will resolve many of these challenges. And the challenges that we face now have to be addressed head on. And we then adopted the policy stance of saying we must have clear priorities to address the issue of economic growth, job creation, reducing the cost of living, fighting crime and corruption, and strengthening the capacity of the state. At the center of what we are doing as government is that we want to shift South Africa to a higher level of economic growth. And our key areas of focus is to unlock infrastructure investment in energy, in logistics, in water, in roads, and to support the process of industrialization, and also support small and medium enterprises in our townships and in our rural areas, so that we can grow the economy of our country through the massive activities of small and medium enterprises. We should also increase private sector investment in a number of sectors of our economy. Now, this moment requires that we must build domestic industrial strength. We must improve our logistics so that we can export more goods that are made in South Africa, and we must improve our energy security as well, and increase trade both regionally and continentally, because it is important that we should have resilience, because unless we do so, we will not be able to address the challenges that our people continue to have. And in order to do so, we must also defend the important gains of our freedom and tackle the immense challenges that we face. And the gains that we have had over the last 30 years are important because over 30 years, we have sought to improve the lives of our people, and our Constitution has laid a very firm foundation for transformation by mandating that the democratic state should redress the inequalities and imbalances of our past by ensuring that we invest huge resources and also massively expand access to basic services for our people in water, in sanitation, in education, in health, in housing, in social security, and other public facilities. And we have also put in place measures to restore the human dignity of our people in many ways, to ensure that our workers have their rights, to ensure that the women of our country are empowered and can advance further, to ensure that black people are empowered through black economic empowerment processes as directed by our Constitution. And in this regard, we say, those who say that BEE must stop and affirmative action must stop are just dreaming, because we will not abandon the BEE policies that we have embarked upon, because we see them as transformative, and we see affirmative action as enabling our people to participate meaningfully in the economy of our country. We see gender equity as being important to advance the interests of women in our country, be they black or white. And we also want to advance land restitution and reform and ensure that our people have access to land, that our people build an asset base so that their lives can be better. And we want our people to have opportunities to advance their lives through getting employment, through getting skills, and through being able to run their own businesses. At the same time, we know that the work that we have to do is still committing ourselves to go forward. There are still many hills that we have to climb, and in doing so, we must face up even to the challenges that we will have. Yes, we have faced setbacks and we have faced detours along the way, but we must remain committed in order to build a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic South Africa that will help us in creating a national democratic society. And comrades, we acknowledge that along this way, there are issues that we ourselves have to address. In the past 15 years, we have had very weak economic growth. Unemployment has gone up, inequality has deepened, and economic growth has been at a low level, much as it is improving. But with all these challenges, we can now say that yes, in embarking on the various interventions, the reforms that we have embarked upon, we have started to bring down the vestiges of state capture. State capture which weakened our institutions. State capture which exacerbated corruption. State capture which made inequality even to grow. And state capture which made even our government departments, including our state-owned enterprises, to operate at a much weaker level. And we've also seen how basic services and infrastructure development has also weakened through poor governance, and also how corruption has taken us backwards. We've seen how in the past we've also went through the challenge of electricity, blackouts or load shedding, where water has become a big challenge in our country and where infrastructure investment has gone backwards. Now, all these challenges have had to be addressed head-on by the African National Congress-led government. In the 6th administration, we started addressing all these challenges earnestly. We embarked on reforms that are beginning to yield the results that we are now beginning to see. Infrastructure expenditure has now been taken to another higher level. We are now going to spend 1 trillion rand. For the first time in the history of our country, we are devoting 1 trillion rand in infrastructure development. Now that in itself shows that we are addressing all these challenges head on. We are also reforming our electricity sector to enable our ESCOM to be strengthened, to be able to increase generation, to strengthen our power stations by allowing more electricity generation even by other generators. We are also needing to build 14,000 kilometers of electricity transmission lines, and will need 450 billion rand to happen. And all these initiatives are being led by the African National Congress. We are improving our ports. The production or the output of our ports had gone down. We are now ramping it up. The tonnage on our rail and our ports is beginning to go up. And we are therefore beginning to see that there is a turnaround. Many in our country are saying, now South Africa has turned the corner. And indeed, we've turned the corner. Why do we say so? we see it in the interest that investors are now having in our country. On Tuesday, we are going to hold our 7th investment conference. And at that investment conference, we are going to have many companies coming forward to tell us the investments that they are going to make in our economy. We have said we want to raise 2 trillion rand in investments in the next 5 years. Already on Tuesday, we are going to hear commitment of investments that will go possibly much higher than what we have had. And some of those investments will come here in Limpopo. We will hear companies say they are going to come and invest here. And we can say, comrades, we are on the path of rebuilding our country. We are on the path of correcting the mistakes of the past, the weaknesses of the past, state capture. Yes, we are also on the path of rebuilding the economy. Our fiscal position is becoming better. And as we heard when the budget was presented, many of the indicators in our budget are beginning to look up. But at the same time, the African National Congress is the one that must lead the process of rebuilding our economy, of rebuilding our country. It is for that reason that the NGC in December, in looking at the challenges that we face, said that we must, as the African National Congress, renew ourselves or perish. We must unite or face defeat, and we must return to serving the people of our country. The delegates to the NGC were determined that we should not betray the national democratic revolution and leave our movement to be defeated. The defense and consolidation of the NDR requires, firstly, that the ANC must be renewed as the leading agent of change, and that must become our #1 priority. The agent of change in addressing all these challenges that I have elaborated on has to be the African National Congress, because it is the ANC that has started the transformation process of South Africa from 1994. Without the ANC, South Africa would not be what it is. We are where we are as a nation, having made all these great strides because of the ANC. So the ANC, therefore, must renew itself to address these new challenges, both internal challenges and external challenges. It is the African National Congress, as the #1 agent of change, that must address these. We must rebuild the ANC's leadership. We must rebuild the organization of the ANC and improve the ideological capacity of the African National Congress so that it can continue to drive the transformation. And the renewal process, comrades, must be comprehensive and all-encompassing. And it will require very strict organizational management, and we must also be committed to ensuring that we become a disciplined organization. Now, having come here to this conference and having heard some of the comments that have been made even by the media, where they've said they've never seen an ANC conference as well organized and disciplined like your conference, it shows that we are on the path of renewing ourselves. The fact that you were able to unite the ANC here contributes to the renewal agenda. It contributes to the fact that you are determined to ensure that the organization here is strengthened and becomes strong to address the challenges that are outlined. Because it is only a strong and united ANC that can address the challenges that our nation and our country faces. If we are not united, if we are factionalized, if we fight amongst ourselves, and if we are not able, comrades, to find solutions to our differences, and if our structures are rocked by divisions and fighting, the ANC will never be able to address the challenges of unemployment, inequality, and also poverty. It is only when we are strong, when we can be able to do so. So I applaud you. I applaud you and wish that this unity that you have displayed coming up to this conference, this well-organization that you have displayed, will carry us through the next 5 years or 4 years, where the ANC in Limpopo will continue to have the strength that you are building now. It starts at the branch level. It starts with our regions. It also goes to the province. It makes sure that our structures are well rooted amongst our people so that we can win our elections and even be more strengthened. Comrades, renewal is the #1 priority that we should focus on, as declared by the NGC. And it manifests itself in a number of ways. In the way that even our municipalities work, in the way in which we as leaders conduct ourselves. Secondly, national renewal and rejuvenation must be anchored in an effective developmental and growth plan where we re-industrialize the economy for mass employment creation and ensure that we address weaknesses that we have and make sure that our various areas, whether rural or township, become productive. And that is what renewal must also manifest itself in. And this should include strengthening the local sphere of governance, to accelerate service delivery, and to promote infrastructure development. And here, comrades, I want to pause a little bit and say that sometimes when we talk about economic growth, we may think that economic growth happens at the union buildings, or economic growth happens at Treasury, or economic growth happens at DTIC. Economic growth is generated at the local level. That is where we generate economic growth. When our municipalities don't work, when there is sewage spillage in our municipalities, when the taps are running dry and don't have water, when there are potholes in our streets, and when refuse is not removed, investors do not come to invest. Investors are only attracted to municipalities or local areas that function. That is where they come and plant their money and their investment. They don't take their money to the union buildings. They take their money to the local area. So what that means is that all of us here have a responsibility to make sure that our local municipalities function well. Many of us sitting here operate at that level, and of course at provincial level as well. And that is where we as the African National Congress must lead the process of the renewal of our economic growth, ensure that our towns, including our rural areas, become attractive centers of investment, where investors will say, we want to take our money there because we can see that there can be growth, where our investors will not run away like they did in Ditsobotla. I keep speaking about Ditsobotla because sometimes we don't realize the magnitude of what we don't do to retain investors in the areas where we govern. In Ditsobotla, a local municipality in the northwest, our council there was composed of comrades who were continuously fighting each other, having 2 mayors, having 2 municipal managers, having 2 speakers, having 2 councils. And in the end, they just make the municipality to descend to a level where it could not provide services to the people. And the people stopped paying. And as they stopped paying, companies that had invested there started looking elsewhere to take their investments. A big company like Clover, the milk company, which employed some 5,000 people or so, decided to leave. They uprooted themselves and went to KZN. And the reason they gave was that the municipality was dysfunctional. There was no good governance in the municipality. So we have an important role to play to make sure that our municipalities work and to make sure that infrastructure is maintained, the roads do not have potholes, and at the ward level, we also ensure that things function well. And if the African National Congress does not do so, who else will do so? It is only us. And in the end, our people look up to the ANC to fix these things. The Premier here was saying, the chairperson of your province was saying, yes, unless you are mad, you will not be able to fix things. So I agree with her, we all should be mad and fix things where we live, and fix them to a point where they will contribute to the growth of our economy. Comrades, when maintenance happens, investors become attracted. Our local areas become like flowers that attract bees. Bees are only attracted by blooming flowers. So we need to make our municipalities, our local government area, to be flowers that will attract the bees to come and make honey. Honey is economic growth. It is the development that our people need. And the ANC is the one that must be at the forefront of doing all these things. It is the ANC leadership that is there. And what we also need to focus on is that we should get good people who will run our municipalities, good people who are going to make sure that our municipalities function. And we must professionalize the administration of our municipalities without political interference. Quite often, we have sought to interfere, and by doing so, we have weakened, yes, our municipal structures. It is important that we put the interests of our people ahead of our own interests. It is very important that we should also remember what was said in the January 8th statement. The NEC put out a number of tasks for us. The first one was to fix local government in order to transform the economy of our country. We need to do that. And in order for us to embark and execute the 6 tasks that were set out by the NEC of fixing local government to improve service delivery. We therefore also focus on economic transformation and wage war against crime and corruption and gender-based violence, and make sure that our structures at government level become stronger. But they can only be strong when the ANC itself is strong. So we therefore, comrades, need disciplined comrades who we are going to deploy in all these places. Comrades who are well steeped in the principles of our movement, who know that by being in the positions where they are serving the interests of our people, not their own interests. It means that our branches must become branches that are activist ANC branches, where our branches are fully connected to the people that the ANC should serve. At branch level, we must make sure that the ANC becomes the go-to organization when our people are facing challenges, be it challenges of crime in the area. They must go to the ANC and say, we want crime levels to come down. We therefore expect the African National Congress to play a role in the community policing structures to make sure that our areas are safe. The ANC must be the one that people go to when there are hardships in their households, when there is death in their families. They must know that the ANC will be there to support them. When there's gender-based violence, they must know that it is the ANC that is going to make sure that we reduce the levels of gender-based violence. So, comrades, our responsibilities as the African National Congress are huge, and we should never think that we will outsource everything just to the government. We are the ones who lead government. We are the ones who must direct government, but we do so actively. And we must therefore take active action to ensure that we resolve the challenges that our people are facing. Now, as we go now for the local government elections, we must make sure that every one of us commits themselves to campaigning for the African National Congress. Every one of us. Yes, every one of us without exception. That is what the NGC also said. I know that we are going to have to address fully and completely, as Comrade Madaje was saying, to clarify this issue of the SACP, because members of the SACP are also members of the ANC. Now, we say every ANC member, underline, every ANC member must campaign for the African National Congress. Now, the NEC is going to finalize its clearer position on what happens to those who are members of another organization, but also members of the ANC, who do not campaign for the ANC. That is now going to be the standard. When I closed the NGC, I said every member of the ANC must campaign for the ANC. Now, that was said by the president of the ANC. And what the president of the ANC says becomes policy. So that is the policy. So everyone is supposed to campaign for the ANC. When you have aligned yourself with another organization and you don't campaign for the ANC, and we see you campaigning for another party, now you are going to put yourself in big trouble with us. And first of all, with me, because I expect you to campaign for the ANC. So, bao ba keneng di party tse but I ikutlwa ka bane there will be consequences. O tla kena mathateng. O tla bona gore o tswa jwa mo mathateng ao. So, as we go to the elections, comrades, the NWC has discussed what members, leaders of the ANC should do. We have been given a target to register those who are not registered to participate in the elections. I have my own target, and I have already started registering people. And the NWC is going to check how many people have I registered. I don't know what will happen if I don't reach that target. Maybe get a raki or miracle, but every one of us has to have a target. You, once the NEC endorses the various targets, you at the provincial level will also have your targets. For how many people are you required to register? And it must all be written down for how many each one of us has registered. We need to register up to 3 to 4 million new voters. Young people especially who are unregistered, under 39 years old, are the ones that we also need to target. And we can do so in a variety of ways. Now we must also focus on door-to-door campaigning. Door-to-door campaigning, comrades, has stood us well in the past. In 1994, we went all out and did door-to-door, and that's why we got about 66 or 67% through door-to-door. Every household was visited by ANC volunteers. In the last election, we went down. It showed that we did not do door-to-door as effectively as we have done it in the past. Now, door-to-door, comrades, is our strategy to get people to vote for the ANC. And therefore, we must go back to door-to-door and make sure that we reach every voter and must know in advance how people are going to vote in advance before the elections. Now, here in Limpopo, many people stayed away from going to vote. And that must be something that you focus your attention on. We need to ask ourselves, why did people not go out to vote in their large numbers? Because we know that Limpopo, being the home of the African National Congress, our people are always on the ready to vote. But why did they not come out? We must now go to them. Some of them may well have become disaffected with the ANC. It is our duty to go to them and make them love the ANC again. We must behave like that lover who has been ditched by their lover. Re lo kopa love back. Re kopa lerato hore le bue. Ba bang ba rona, we were ditched in our lives. Ra boela morago ra re kgopela love back. Re ratane gape. That is what we should now be doing, to go back to our people, to go and get them to vote for the African National Congress. The next elections that we're going to go to by the end of the year are going to be quite decisive. The other parties are already gearing up to try and defeat the African National Congress. We must now wake up, if we are sleeping at all, to make sure that we go all out to win these elections. And I know for Lunamo Limpopo, you have the process of winning all the municipalities, and we expect that to be the case again. All the wards must be won by the African National Congress. And to do so, we must recruit and train the best coordinators. We must have good volunteers, volunteers who know the ANC, who understand our policies. And we must also have strong managers who are going to lead the election structures that we set up. And every branch must have its own BET. I heard that that is what you discuss on your commissions. We must strengthen that and make sure that it does happen. And I will come and campaign in your various areas. And when I do come, I want to hear reports that will tell me whether we are strong, we are certain of outright victory. And Harriet's are door to door. The usual tendency is, a leader from the NEC or a president, we find that everybody just follows Abai to their own door-to-door campaign. So that too must change. When I come to do door-to-door, I want to be given a number of houses and I should not be followed. I must go myself and go and do that door-to-door to strengthen the work that you'll be doing. We must also, comrades, make sure that we focus on fixing the challenges at local government level and establish war rooms that will be able to tell the Premier where challenges are. The Premier must be able to sit and say, in this ward, there's this challenge and that challenge. The Mayor of Polokwane must be able to tell us where are the challenges and what, more importantly, what are we going to do about those challenges? If it's water, we must then take advantage of the committee that I have set up at national level and find out exactly how we are going to address the problem of water. This coming week, we are going to have a presidential coordinating committee or council, and the Premier will be there and Metro Mayors will be there. We will expect for it. The challenges of water will also be fully addressed, and we should have a clear map of how those are going to be addressed. So the war room will be very important so that we know where are the challenges that affect our people. And the delays that we have had in addressing challenges of water, for instance in Guyana, should be something of the past. We must make sure that all the villages get their water. We must make sure there's proper reticulation of water. And in addition to these immediate activities, we will next month, comrades, start with the selection of ward and PR candidates for the new term of local government. The guidelines are much stricter so that every branch should ensure participation and ownership as well as community participation. And that in doing so, we select the best candidates that are trusted by the community so that we can win those elections. And as we do so, we should now know the mayors are now also going to be important officials that we focus on. The NEC has delegated this task to the national officials to ensure that mayors should be appointed by the NEC after a thorough process of interviews. The national officials, and they are indeed going to do so, they are seeing this matter. In some of the metros and secondary cities, the mayoral candidates will be announced before the elections. We will know who our mayoral candidates are going to be. And as we do so, we are going to want to appoint people who are capable. We mustn't go and appoint people that we know are going to fail. And I always give this example. The example, if we are going to play in the World Cup, we expect our coach or our coaches to choose the best players to go and play for us. That is what we expect, because they are going to represent the country. We don't expect the coach to go and choose somebody make a fella o sa tsebeng le ho raloka football, or choose me hore ke lo ba striker ya Bafana Bafana in the United States, because we are sure that we are going to lose. So now, quite often, we put the wrong people in positions, knowing well hore they are going to perform badly. This time round, comrades, we must make sure that we choose the right people who are going to occupy the positions. Now, this is very important. We cannot approach the 2026 elections in the same way we have done with the 2021 elections. We need to explore new ways of campaigning while maintaining our door-to-door as the primary tactic. And we must build campaign capacity at all levels, and we must ensure that service delivery issues are addressed, because this time round, it is the service delivery that is going to determine our success in the voting. And if we have good candidates that people have confidence in, we will be able to ensure that indeed we emerge victorious. So, comrades, our tasks are huge, but at the same time, we have solutions, and the solutions reside in all of us, reside in the strength of the ANC at branch level, reside in our ability to serve the interests of our people. They reside in exhibiting the strength that we have shown in coming to this conference. Now, the important part, of course, is that we must remain committed to renewal. And the renewal process must be visible. Our people must see how the ANC is committed to renewal. Vanhu va swi vona hi ntiyiso ku ri ANC I ta tirhela vanhu. We won't be serving our own interests. And our people are not blind. When the people see that we are not serving them, they walk away from us. So in order to advance the NDR, that is what we should do. And overall, we should keep our leaders accountable. And issues, comrades, of corruption, of fraud, and so forth must be things of the past. And one other important thing is that this issue of outsourcing everything in a municipality must also come to an end, because we often outsource everything. There are areas that we need, yes, to outsource because the private sector has a particular speciality. But other things must be insourced, because outsourcing everything weakens a municipality. I'll give you one good example. A municipality in the Free State, they basically outsourced everything, from accounting, doing the books, the management accounts every month, they outsourced it. They also outsourced the issue of water management, it was outsourced. Refuse removal was outsourced, and nearly everything, cutting of the grass and so forth. As a result, they had people who are employed by the municipality going to work every day, going to work and just fold their arms because they were no longer working. Everything had been outsourced. And those to whom services were outsourced to were getting 34 million rand every month without fail. And they were the first to be paid, even before salaries were paid. And people were being paid salaries without doing the work. And that is why I say we must have a professional civil service, and we must insource quite a number of areas of functionality. That strengthens the municipality. That makes the municipality stronger. and more functional. And that is able to ensure that there's good service delivery. Because at times when we outsource, we think that those we have outsourced to will do the work effectively and end up not doing that work as effectively as we want it to be done. So it is important that municipalities must be strengthened, build capacity. We must bring in even young people to come and work in our municipalities. We send them to school, and after they go to school, they don't have any work to do. And yet they have developed expertise and knowledge. Therefore, let's bring them in to come and do the work that needs to be done in our municipalities. That way, we then have stronger municipalities. And I end by saying, we commend your provincial government. Your provincial government, even from what you said in your declaration, is showing that indeed it is focusing on delivery. We commend the provincial government for ensuring that it addresses the various challenges that are faced here. You held an investment conference and billions of rands were committed for investment. We want you to follow that up and make sure that indeed those investments take place. Yes, in various sectors of your economy. Mining has become a strong sector in your province. Let us make sure that mining companies work with you to train young people, to produce trained engineers who will be able to ensure that the mining industry is strengthened. Agriculture, Limpopo should become the food basket of South Africa. We must broaden agriculture in livestock, in grain, in fruit and vegetables. Limpopo must lead in that. And that requires focus. We said at national level, we will employ 10,000 extension officers. And I found that when there are more extension officers employed, agricultural production goes up. So Limpopo should be well positioned to be able to have increased production in agriculture and in agro-processing as well. With Limpopo's ability to have a strong agricultural sector, you should be able to have agro-processing areas in Limpopo where you'll become the leading province. You can export to other countries what is produced here. Now it requires government to create that conducive environment for all those enabling interventions to happen so that your economy can grow. And as the NGC said, we need to focus on growing the economy, and growing the economy requires us to embark on a number of interventions that are going to lead to increased investment, more employment, and more of a capable state. We expect that your municipalities will continue performing well, and where there are weaknesses, we should see an increase. Your declaration recognized those municipalities that are beginning to turn around, and we want to see more and more of that. So comrades, we've got a very good foundation of a strong and an ANC that is getting stronger. It is when our ANC remains united, remains stronger, that we will be able indeed to reach higher levels. One of the meetings that we held with your provincial government, we were also focusing on another area which possibly Limpopo hadn't focused on hitherto, to participate more strongly in renewable energy. Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa then started saying, in Limpopo, we have even more radiation than in other provinces. That is another area which I would like to see the province pushing so that the sun that shines in Limpopo, up to about 40 degrees, should be properly utilized to generate renewable energy, solar energy, to drive the energy infrastructure of the province. So, comrades, you have many endowments. Let us use those many endowments to drive the growth of the economy here. And the other important thing is to make sure that we raise problems and issues. You have a premier who is not shy to come to Pretoria to meet a variety of ministers and say, this is what we want in Limpopo. This is what we want to happen in Limpopo. And we expect, even you at local government level, you should be able to raise things that need to be done in your area. And even at government level, we need to be doing that. Now, as you heard, your premier is focused on making sure that what I once announced in one State of the Nation address about a speed train should happen first here in Limpopo. The speed train that I spoke about and was laughed at. But Ramaphosa is a man of dreams. I am a man of dreams. I am happy that that dream has now been appropriated by the province here, because you want that train to happen. And that train will happen. Work has already started in ensuring that we start preparing for that speed train that should come from Musina to Johannesburg. And of course, we want another train to leave Johannesburg and go to Durban, because the N1 is a major artery of transporting people. The N1 is a major artery of transporting goods. We want to put our people on a fast train. When I was at boarding school, Kitwa Gauteng and going to Mpapudi, we used to travel for the entire 12 hours, from 6 o'clock in a train to 6 o'clock in the morning. Now that journey from here to Makado should never take 6 hours or 12 hours. We want it to take 1.5 hours in a speed train. And that is what we now need to move to, so that Limpopo must explode in the new economic terrain where we have wonderful trains. The transport system should be so well done, and there are many people who die in accidents on the N1. We should prevent that. The Limpopo must be a center of economic growth, but that economic growth, comrades, much as it will need to be driven at government level, it should be driven by a strong African National Congress. So with that, comrades, I commend you and applaud you for a wonderful conference that has had content, a conference that makes me feel confident for Limpopo once again will be the province where good things come from, because that is how you are defining yourself in the ANC. And earlier we were saying, Limpopo is presenting a template. It's making an example of how, one, the ANC must be run, how the organization of the ANC must function. You have a very active and committed provincial secretary who, on a continuous basis, demonstrates that he is committed to running the ANC. He's always going around all your regions. And each time I talk to him, he has full knowledge of what is happening in every ward in Limpopo. So, Lelona, comrades, be as good as that. You have good mayors. the mayor of Polokwane, Liena, each time I talk to him, he is so well informed about what happens here in Polokwane. And we commend him for that as well. So all of you, yes, as I talk to the various mayors from time to time, I find their knowledge about their areas so rich. For Comrade Shai Libabang, they know the province, they know their areas. So Lunahe, strengthen them. Particularly you who have been elected, strengthen your officials, strengthens those that we have deployed in government, but keep them accountable. Make sure that they remain humble. They must humble themselves and do the work that you have elected them to do. So comrades, I'm happy to have come here. I will see you again when we go campaigning in your various areas during the local government elections. Amandla! Amandla! Forward with the Limpopo forward. Forward with a united Limpopo forward. Amandla! Kalebo.
Ramaphosa unyaka masucha. Iyoyo toa toa. Ramaphosa unyaka masucha. Iyoyo toa toa. Toa toa toa. Iyoyo toa toa. Oro. Toha, toha, toha. Yo, toha, toha. Thank you, comrades. We are now going to do announcements. That will be done by the provincial treasurer. Very important announcements. The new from the box.
Mandla! Mandla! Long live President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, long live! Long live President Ramaphosa, long live! Mandla! Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session, the Deputy Provincial Chair. Let me take this opportunity to pass my greetings to the Provincial Executive Committee as led by the newly Provincial Chairperson, and the Provincial Secretary and the NEC led by the President, and all protocol observed. Comrades, we've got only one announcement to be communicated to delegates. And the announcement is with regard to the lunch, which is ready, and delegates are advised to use the same venues that we've been using from the day one of the conference. That is where the lunch will be served, and the leadership will be directed by the support staff to the venue where, or the serving point, the serving area where the lunch will be served. That is the only announcement to be made, comrade. Amanda! Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrades. This 11th ANC Limpopo Provincial Conference have been closed officially by the President of the African National Conference. Thank you very much. Travel safely, comrades, and God bless you.